The solver feature allows us to set the value or the end value of the function without actually overriding the function and not necessarily knowing all the values that are inputted into that function. For example, I come up here and I click in the cell here. I've got the payment function up in the formula bar, and it's based upon these three cells here with different variables of the principal amount, interest rate, and the months. Now solver is going to be solving a problem for me, and here's the problem. I have a function here that gives me the value of $414 based upon these three variables. Let's say I don't know how much of a car I can afford, but I do know I don't want to pay any more than $500 a month. And the interest rate I want to put constraints on. Let's say the best I can do for interest is between 6 and 10% because of different competing banks. And then the other constraint is I want to pay it off under, I don't know, 38 or 39 months. So solver is going to help me figure that out without actually me coming in here saying, well, there's $500, type it in, and of course when you click back in the cell you overwrote the function and it's no longer taking into account these three variables, which doesn't work. So I'm going to hit undo. So the difference between goal-seek in the previous training video and solver is that goal-seek will only allow us to change one variable, where solver allows us to change one or more variables, and all the variables we're going to set in here are going to be these three right here. Because if I have constraints on these variables, like it has to be under 39 months, it's got to be between 6 and 10%, then it's got to change something, especially if my end result's $500, so this is the only thing it can change. It can only figure out how much of a car I can afford with those restrictions. So to solve that problem, I'm going to click in the cell that actually has my payment function here. Now my solver by default is nowhere up in the ribbon here, and it's nothing you can add to the quick access toolbar. Because not a lot of people use it, you have to add it in manually. In fact, when I add it in on the data tab, it'll be over here in the analysis group. So to add it, click on the Office logo button, come down to Excel options, click on the add-ins category, come down here and click on Go. Check the box Solver Add-in, click OK, and there it is, Analysis Group, the solver here. So I clicked in the cell that had the function. I can come up here and click on the Solver button, and then it says what's the target cell. Well, the target cell is going to be F4, that's my function, and I want the value of it to be, the end value is $500. Now what cells am I allowed solver to change? Because if my end value is 500, it's got to update some of these variables here, because if it's $500 it may drop the months. If I put constraints on, like let's say the months or the percentage, would have to be, another change would be the principal amount. Maybe it might be less, just depending upon the constraints, which is something you couldn't do in goal-seek, is set these multiple constraints. So the cells I want to be able to change are all three of them here. It's going to be D3, D4, and D5. I'll click Add, and it says, look, do you have any constraints? Any of them? Well, first of all, I would like the months, so I'm going to go ahead and click in the month cell, which is D5, and let's say the constraint is that it has to be less than, let's say, or let's do 38. Click Add. Let's do another, let's say the interest. For the cell reference interest, there it is, D4. Let's say that it has to be less than 10%. Click Add. But I'm going to click on it again, add another constraint, but it has to be more than, so I'm going to click on the drop down arrow, greater than or equal to 6%. Now when I'm finished adding all these constraints, I can just go ahead and click OK, and you can see them listed here. So here's the breakdown. I have my set target cell, which is the one that has the function in it. And I want the value to be $500. Of course, I can't type it in here 500, otherwise it deletes the function. That's why we're doing it in the solver screen. Then Excel asks, well, what cells can I change? I got to add some flexibility to give you what you want. So it's got to change one of these three to give me the $500 result. But then I put constraints on it. So then Excel is going to look at this and says, well, gosh, it's got to be under 38 months and it's got to be between 6 and 10%. I mean, what more can I do? Well, to get it close, we might have a different principal amount. Well, when I'm finished, just click Solve, and it updates it here. Well, the months here is under 38 months. In fact, it's at 34.67 months, and at the interest rate at 10% didn't give it to us at 9 or 6 or 7%. And then the principal amount is just 1 penny over, but hey, it got us our target here of $500 a month. So gave us higher interest rate, which, gosh, I don't like. So I could go ahead and click Cancel and say the interest rate has to be cheaper and do some updates and changes, and then click Solve again. So if I click Cancel, then I'm back to square one. Click on Solver. It keeps all the variables in there for me. If I need to make any changes, like let's say interest rate, let's go ahead and change this. Select it, click Change, and say it's got to be less than, let's try to do 8%, and click OK. And then go ahead and click Solve. Well, there we go. We're still at about 15,000 and a penny. We're at 8%, but now the months here has changed. If you like what you see, you can say keep the solver solution and click OK. Thanks for watching. Hey, as a quick reminder, if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. You can also click on me and subscribe to my channel, get notified of the latest videos, and for only $2 a month, you can have access to all my Microsoft Office training videos.